Welcome. We will look at tools and techniques, material selection, and a selection of classic and new flies. We hope these videos help you become a better tyer.
I've got 6 different sizes of thread and types of thread here. When you measure thread, or when you go to buy thread today, you'll see something similar to this on the thread, where you'll see a denier, or D is what the D stands for, denier measurement, and you may see or you may not see an aught. And H/O is like 8 zeros. So this thread, this unithread, is 72 denier and 8 aught. The 8 aught system is the old system, 3 aught, 6 aught, 8 aught, so on and so forth. The denier system is the newer system. Denier is a weight. It's the number of grams that 9,000 meters of this thread weighs. So 9,000 meters is the length of thread that weighs 72 grams. This thread is only measured in denier. It's Danville's spiderweb thread, and it's a 30 denier thread. So 9,000 meters of this weighs 30 grams. This is a nano silk thread by Semperfli, and you can see it's a 20 denier thread. This is a Danville product, and you can see that it's a 70 denier and 6 aught thread. Another Uni product. This is a 220 denier thread, and it's rated at 3 aught. And we have a 3 aught Danville waxed monocord thread. This, I have read, is rated at 200 denier. So what I've done here on this hook shank is I've got 20 wraps and a 3-turn whip finish for each one of these threads. This is the spiderweb thread that's 30 denier. The spiderweb by Danville is a single strand nylon thread. Probably one of the finest threads that I've ever worked with. It has a 4-ounce breaking point. So you will break this until you get used to working with it. The Semperfli, you'll notice it spreads out. This is a GSP. GSP stands for gel spun polyester. GSP threads are very fine, and it has about 4 times the breaking strength of the Danville 30 denier spiderweb. So this is a little over an ounce or a little under an ounce of breaking strength. This is the 8-aught unithread, and just compare. You've got an angle that will let you see the buildup of these threads. The 8-aught unithread, again, same number of wraps. Then the 6-aught Danville, and you can begin to see some buildup, some hump there for the Danville. Likewise, now this is the unithread, then the Danville, and next is the unithread 3-aught, and you can see you really have a pretty good ball of that thread. And then the monocord is a little bit slimmer than the 3/0 unithread. So the aught system, the problem with it is it's unique to each manufacturer. What one manufacturer calls a 3/0 thread may be a completely different thickness from another manufacturer. You can see here this is a 6/0 and this is an 8/0. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to just wrap in the middle of these two, the 6/0 and the 8/0. I'm going to wrap 140 denier thread. This is a Danville 140 in black, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the others, in that I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 20. And then I'm going to do a 3-turn whip finish. And you can see how that turned out. You'll notice that the 140 denier thread is slightly larger on the hook for the same number of wraps than both the 8 and the 6/0 thread. So the first thing that we talked about thread is size. The second thing is flat thread versus round thread, and I'm going to talk more about this in the next lesson, but you'll notice, for example, this GSP is very wispy. It's multiple strands. So it lies very flat on the hook shank when I wrap with it. There's almost no buildup of this thread. This thread is a single strand of nylon. You almost can't see this on the camera. You can barely see that. And the 8/0 thread, this thread is a bonded thread. It's much more round than the GSP was. GSP is very strong, but it's also quite slick. It slides around on the hook shank. So when I was wrapping this wrap here with the GSP, one of the issues with this GSP is it tends to spread out. It slides around a lot. You can get around that by waxing, but as you can see, I did some waxing on this, and it doesn't solve the whole problem. Danville 6/0 and Danville 140 thread is a flat thread. And so it has a bonding element that goes around it, but if you're tying with this, it will flatten out for you and lie flat on the hook shank. You can see that even better with the 140 denier. And when we're actually starting to tie, one of the ways you can see the flat thread is if I spin the bobbin and just let it go, you'll see the thread start to twist up. And then you'll notice it'll untwist. And I'll show you this better in just a minute. The last two threads, this 220 denier uni thread, when you look at this, I mean, it's a flat thread. It's not bonded. You can see the different strands of it. It lays flat, but it's also a very rough material thread. So different materials, a lot of the uni threads and the Danvilles are made out of rayon. Nylon is another good thing. And the monocord by Danville is a bonded thread, which means it tends to stay round. It doesn't flatten out as much. So that's your thread sizing in denier or in aught. My advice on this is you will find that different thread from different manufacturers varies quite a bit in terms of size and in terms of aught rating. So I would suggest that you use this as a rough gauge. A 3/0 thread is going to be this size, on this end. It's going to be much thicker. It's going to be much heavier. It's going to be much more difficult to break. It's going to be good for larger flies, for deer hair, things like that. The only kind of thread that I don't have here to show you is I just didn't get any Kevlar thread out. Comes in one size. It's a 200 denier, I believe. It's quite thick thread. It's very coarse. And the thing about Kevlar is it doesn't take dye well. So if you get some Kevlar, you'll notice that Kevlar is kind of unevenly dyed. A lot of people really like it for big flies, saltwater flies, bass bugs, that kind of thing.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for all our videos and tight lines.